Hey everybody, welcome back to The Witness. So last time I did this section, I wasted everyone's fucking time pretty dramatically. However, it was a lot of fun, and that footage is not going on YouTube, so for people that are watching from the YouTube side of the world, you're probably like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and that's fair. Anyway, I'm thinking that all I really need to do to solve this is just kinda like, I just need to, like, block everything off by paying attention to the diagonals. That's really all I actually have to do here. So, all I need to do is just have, like, what I need to do is I just need to use my intuition and just go with my, like, gut about, like, what I think the colors are, just by looking at the diagonals, and holy shit, I just guessed it. I just figured all I needed to do was look at, like, the gradient, and anything that looked like it was too steep of a jump or a jump in the wrong direction of the color wheel, I figured that was the that had to be the solution, right? So if you think about it, like, I guess the way I just thought about this was, okay, this is cyan and this is magenta and it goes blue. Like, if it goes cyan, magenta, and red, then that's not, like, the way that that's not the direction that would be going in that gradient, right? Like, it should be, it should be more like one of these colors instead of this color, you know? So I just kind of figured what seemed like it was not following the same gradient and not moving along the color wheel as smoothly, and then you can do it that way. So that's done. And my scientific stupid method that wasted everyone's time did not have to make a comeback, so everyone should be pretty happy about that. Now, we're on to this guy, and I generally don't fare all that great with Tetris puzzles, so I'm not really looking forward to this one at all. I will deal with that. So, we have a bit of an interesting situation here where what I'm thinking is I could kind of block this off by itself, and if I did that, what could I accomplish with that? Well, I could also, so these guys absolutely need to have something to join up against for them to work. So what I'm wondering is, if I do, like, this shape, oh, it's a little different than what I thought. So, let's start by thinking through the L-shaped Tetris block, as I always have to do. So, it can go like that, or it can go like this. So if it goes, no, hold on. You can go like this, here, I can just do it that way. Actually, there's not a whole lot of options for this Tetris block. So we have this shape. We have something that's kind of like this and maybe slid around a little bit. And we have this shape, and that's pretty much it. So, what I'm thinking is, if it is something like, I could do something very odd, and I could have a shape that, oh yeah, okay, so this already isn't going to pan out. But what I was wondering is if I could do a shape like roughly like this, but obviously I can't do that. So I know it's just a start. I'm just feeling things out. We'll see what I actually end up solving in the future. So now I have a shape like this, and I notch in the top piece. So this would be another thing, and yeah, this is placed here specifically to mess with the things that I'm attempting. And that's fine, you know, they can do whatever I want, and then I can hate them for forever. Okay, the other thing I was thinking would be a shape like this, but that also doesn't work. So I think that this little bridge here, I can pretty safely say, is designed to prevent me from being too cute, let's say. So, okay. To that end, what are my other options here? So, I can do a an L-shaped block like this, and then stuff gets really weird. If I do an L-shaped block like this, and then I have this guy like here, and then I use the dot to capture it, then I have this guy like that, but then nothing actually grabs that dot. So that's obviously not going to fly. Other things I can think of, I'm currently rooting a lot of the L-shaped block stuff here. That may not necessarily be a requirement for this. So if I have the L-shaped block like here, and then I use a dot to move here, and then I use this guy to capture down here, and I got the L-shaped block. That gives me this to capture the dot, but that's obviously not going to fly. So, other things to consider. L-shaped block is used to capture the dot. And then I use the... If I use the L-shaped block to capture the dot, I then use this guy to capture these 3 tiles. And then I can't actually grab the L-shaped block in this situation, but that could have been very interesting. What I was thinking would be that I would if I could potentially have captured... I now have that dot. So what I can do... Hang on. Okay, so I use the L-shaped block up here to capture these 3 tiles. I then use the dot to capture that tile. I then okay, so I have this shape at the moment. And that is a bit of a problem because we have this guy right here. So different idea. I use the L-shaped block in this way to capture both of those. I then use this here to capture these 3, and I use this to capture these 3. That seems relatively promising. So let me think through what that would look like. It would look like almost. It doesn't quite pull it off though, because we haven't actually captured this guy when we do that. But I kind of liked where that was going. So anyway, let me think through this again. So we use the L-shaped... I like the start, using the L-shaped block up here to capture both of these pieces. I think that's a really easy start. I then use this guy right here to capture these 3. And then I use... Okay, so I've captured those 3. Shoot. Other things I could think of would be... I use this L-shaped block to capture these 3. And then I use this block to capture these 3? Then I have one block that's overlapping, unfortunately. So that would almost look something like this. And unfortunately for me, there's a couple of problems with this solution that definitely make it a non-starter. Okay, let's try thinking through this another way. So, I also think that with this piece being where it is, that's really kind of forcing me to make it so that I start things off on this bottom right and then loop up around here, because this thing's gonna mess up most other strategies. So, let's think through that now. I use the L-shaped block here. No, hang on. What's the most efficient use of the L-shaped block in this situation? It would be this way. L-shaped block captures here. Then I use this to grab these three. That's a pretty good start. Okay, so that's a nice shape like this. Now, the problem that I'm seeing with this is that I am not really seeing a good way to extend this from the other direction. So that's not going to work out all that well. I wonder if what I need to be doing Okay. I think that I need to use this L-shaped block more towards the center. As I use these L-shaped blocks towards the corners, I don't really have a very good way of actually navigating around the board using them. So, in that case, what are kind of very natural arrangements for this L-shaped block? It'd be a group like that. That's a really good position for it. Now, the other thing, yeah, so that's a good start. Then I can have a fairly easy time using these guys to sort of notch things together. So let's say I use this dot to capture this square, and then I use one of these guys to capture these three. Now, I then use this to capture there, but then the dot isn't in this group. So that's not really flying. Okay. Let's try exploring L-shaped block in this corner again. If I have L-shaped block like this, I then capture with one of these guys. I then use the other guy here and then capture with the dot. Then that seems relatively promising. Let me see what that looks like. It would be something roughly like this solution. And I'm not entirely sure if this works. And the reason I don't think that this works is because above the L-shaped block, I have an extra square in my solution. However, I'm wondering if it's possible for me to actually fix that. And it doesn't look like that's the case. I can't really very easily do something like this. However, this looks like it might actually be the solution. So the L-shaped block in the top left corner, we use the dot to capture the far right 3 pattern block. And then we kind of like notch the 2 3 pattern blocks together to make like a little arrow pattern in the bottom right. And that should solve it. So let me go ahead and outline this again. So we have L-shaped block here. We use one of the 2 3-shaped patterns to capture these 3. use the other one to capture these 3. Then we have our dot left over to grab that guy. Okay, that takes care of that, and I think that takes care of this entire section of the game. This is cool stuff. I am not entirely sure what I have left to do in this game. I know for a fact that I have been a little bit too careful with regards to the copyright stuff. Meaning that as long as there's like a certain movie scene that pops up, or at least so I've been told, and I can watch anything in the game, any of the movies in the game, except for that one. So all I need to do is, if I see that one, just bail immediately. Now, I don't mind doing that, and there's a small hitch in that plan, and that is that I have not written down a single one of the patterns that I'm supposed to use to solve the movie theater puzzles. Not a single one. So I'd have to go find them all, and that sounds hella tedious. So I'm not entirely sure if that's something that I'm going to be doing at this moment. The other thing is that I can actually just beat the game at this point. Like, to get to the area that I was just in, with the Hall of the Mountain King and all that stuff, all I did was I reached the end of the game and then turned left. So I can go back there, and I can beat the game, and we can see like whatever cutscene and stuff like that will pop up. 100%. So I'm thinking that I could potentially do that. It would just require me to look up the movie theater puzzle solutions, because I think I've done all of them. But what I'm really getting at is I am fairly sure that there is a way that I can, oh, I need to do it the other direction. I'm fairly sure that there's a way that I can, there's an area that I can unlock that will tell me things like how many movies I've unlocked and how many voice recorders I've found. I believe I get that at a place that I have been told is called The Lake. I have not seen a lake in this game. I've seen a lot of water. I don't know what constitutes a lake. I do know that if I so desired, this is basically the last 2 puzzles in the game proper. Like, as soon as I think that as soon as I solve these 2, I basically will have beaten The Witness and gotten a ending. This appears to be a timed puzzle. This appears to be a much less stressful timed puzzle than the one I just had to do. Nevertheless, I did a very poor job of solving it just now. Okay. Let's just keep stepping on and off this platform until it gives me a puzzle that I can solve. At least it's so kind as to, you know, not, what was I gonna say? Not, like, blow out the puzzle that I had solved. So, this isn't Hall of the Mountain King. It's more like, chamber pot of the hillside Jack. Okay, so I forgot a little bit about these last puzzles here. So I don't think that these will be particularly hard, considering what I've already been through with them. So I think all I need to do is just wrap around like that, and that should take out that pillar. I guess there's a fair number of them. And then when I do, I'll be reunited with my wife and demon spawn, and I should be able to at least see a cutscene, and I'll have done all the witnessing that I could ever desire. Okay, let's start solving out the rest of these guys, though. So, probably a pattern like this. Easy enough. Hall of the Mountain King has trained me well. Very, very well. So, the problem is that this solution sucks. Alright, so, whatever I do, I just want to make sure that I come up through here to do it. And I think that this will solve it just fine, because I'm pretty sure that this is all one continuous section. I don't think I actually partitioned everything off from anything else. So that solved it just fine. Now, I don't think that this is going to be particularly difficult either. I think I just need to... Yes. I think the difficulty... I see. So I do have the 2 black squares up there that I didn't properly separate out. Well, that's not too big of a deal. What I will probably do is... Yeah, so I need... Whatever I do, I need to... My final move needs to be something like that, where I come down to block off those 2 pieces there. So, I think that as long as I just do something like that, that'll make my life a lot easier. Where I just kind of segregate those, or I don't want to use the term segregate. Let's go with partition. That's the word I've been using this entire game. I just feel like there's a little bit of weird undertones when you're separating black and white things and calling it segregation. A little on the insensitive side. Okay, so I think this is a mirror puzzle. It is not. This is kind of funny to me that they even give this option of a middle thing. I find that very odd. But, let's see. I'm gonna start from the middle thing just because it'll be a little bit easier. Is anyone else getting motion sick? No, just you. Haha! I'm sorry. Okay. What should I do to solve these things? Well, starting... I guess I definitely need to be coming around, like, these directions. This is interesting. So, if I... There's definitely some sort of, like, ziggy-zaggy pattern I should be doing to get this to work. So, what if I start over here? Oh, okay, okay, this looks like a good start. If I do something like this, we have a little bit of a problem because there's that one piece that's not totally covered up, and there's basically nothing I can do about it. And in fact, we have 2 pieces that are like that in all of this, and in fact, we have a couple more than I anticipated. So, what about? There's got to be some sort of trick to all of this, where I do something like... There's got to be some sort of pattern here. So, I think I'm starting to get a sense for what that will look like. I think that I need to come up here a little bit earlier than what I'm doing at the moment. So, if I start here, and then go like this, that then gives me room to come around this way and everything's covered up. I can then come over here, block these off, come up this way, and then the problem is that now I'm kind of backed into a corner up here. So what I can do about that is actually not too bad. I can just come up here, swoop down again, come up here again, and then we have, again, a little bit of a problem, but I think that I've basically solved it by coming around this way. And indeed, that covers up every single section. And I can't really explain it. My solution involved zigging all the zags and zagging all the wags. Cool. I like this little hallway. It's a very, like, end of the game kind of feeling. And this hallway gives Keith a giant boner because there's columnar jointing everywhere.
Oh boy.
Oh, I mean, there is nothing I'm more excited about than that sort of event. Anyway, so it looks like literally all I have to do for this one is, just, oh, okay, it's not going to be easy after all. Well, I'm thinking that I just need to not connect the two L-shaped pieces. If I just do something like this, then come up here. Okay, let's come up here, and then all I need to do is just block off these L-shaped pieces, and that solves it just fine. Easy enough. 2 more to go. And then, I guess, a cutscene, probably. And I'm sure the cutscene is gonna do wonders to explain the plot of this game. Oh boy, it's not gonna be weird or anything. Alright, we're gonna probably try to block off this piece here. And as you can see, that was just a disaster of a plan. There's mostly the concern of this piece. So let's say I come up here and then I grab this white square and put it with the rest. So this will not actually work all that well. However, I could potentially do something like this. And I think I'm in the clear. I'm wrong. This square needed to be joined, and that star was not joined with its friend. Okay, that's not a big deal. Let's try solving this from the top down, because it's a little bit easier for me to tell what's going on when I do that. The problem is that it's very hard for me to see the entire puzzle at once this way. In that it's impossible for me to see the entire puzzle at once. But I think that this just solved it. Yep. Pretty straightforward. And that just leaves one last little puzzle. And the cute thing about this is the first mechanic that you learn in the game. And that's what old JB is honing it in on, bringing it home, right back where we began. That solved it, and now we can see that we have an elevator to heaven.